Welcome back to video 3. In this video, you're going to be finding and editing related loops. So again, we're going to be back in GarageBand, and you can start a totally new project because this is nothing related to what you did before, and any favorites that you had saved will still be here. Okay, so again, I'm starting with that vocal because I know that I'm going to be pulling in loops, and it's just easier for me to start with this blank, empty audio loop. I'm going to go to tracks view because I'm not recording anything. I'm just dragging in loops. So on our front screen, I mentioned that we're going to be doing something called related loops. Now, related loops are loops that have the same name but different numbers over here. So all of these are 60 shuffle drum set 1, 60 shuffle drum set 3, and 60 shuffle drum set 6. Those are related loops because they have the same name with numbers on them. You have to be careful sometimes because sometimes there are ones that look similar, like right here, but they're not actually related loops as in what we're wanting. So here we have 80s power pop clap, 80s power pop hi-hat, 80s power pop kick, and 80s power pop snare. So yes, they're related in that they're all the 80s power pop. We have a clap, a hi-hat, a kick, and a snare. For the project that we're going to do, you don't want them to be separate. You want them to be something that where they really are going to flow and fit well together. The other thing that for this project you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that the sounds that you pick are melodic, something that you might sing to, something that you could hum to, something that if you wanted to add words, you could. You don't have to for this project, but you could. You could sing it and you could sing it back once you put it together. If we're listening to a clapping sound, it's not even playing. Okay, if we're going to listen to the hi-hat, that's not really something that you're going to sing. Same thing with the kick drum. Same thing with the snare. Even this sound, it's not percussive. Okay, it's not an exact percussion sound, but you're not really going to be singing that. Okay, things that you're more likely to do. If it's a specific instrument, that's a good thing. If it says lead somewhere, lead 1 and lead 2. Here's another instrument. So those are going to be good melodic instruments. You might find some basses, and some of the basses have really good melodies on them, but you're probably not going to want to use them for this project because the bass guitar as an instrument in itself isn't really designed to be the lead sound, and so it very quickly and easily gets covered up as you start adding other loops and other sounds to it. So I've, in my experience doing these projects, people that have tried to choose the bass, then once they start adding other sounds, they end up losing their melody and have a really hard time hearing it because it just gets covered up so quickly. So I would stick with things that say lead or that are a specific instrument. Okay, for this we're going to do one together. And so under my genres, I tapped on hip hop. And then there were quite a few in here that I could choose. I favorited some that can work. So the Beautiful Memories Pluck. These ones, they're pretty short in between, but we're actually going to be editing these down. So it actually would work okay because you can edit out some of those breaks that are in there. This is a good example of a bass that's really melodic and actually could make for kind of a fun melody, but I would worry that that would get covered up. So I favorited it, but I can save it and I can do something different. These ones move around a lot, so those ones would be fun to edit down. But I think this is going to be the one that we're going to do. So I'm going to drag them in. I don't want it looped right now. I just want to see the two measures that it is. So I'm going to drag in Brooklyn style chopped sax 1, sax 2, and sax 3. I needed to find something that had at least 3 different sounds, because if you only are trying to create a melody with just 1 or 2, it's going to be too repetitive. Okay, so here's the 3 related loops. You can see that they're related because they have the same name but different numbers. Okay, so each one of you should now have in a new GarageBand file these 3 different sounds. Now we're gonna edit these down, and so some of them we're gonna leave as 2 and some of them we're gonna leave as 1. As I'm looking just visually, this looks like one that I probably will edit down to 1 just because it looks like there's a pretty big gap in the middle. But we'll listen to each one and we'll kind of see. So when I tap the headphones, it'll solo that, so that's the only sound that I hear, even though they're stacked on top of each other. So that's that one. And there's the second one, and here's the last one. So there's quite a bit of sounds to work with. Each one, when you edit it down for this project, you want it to be either 1 measure or 2 measures long. Okay, so I kind of like the middle section on this one. So I'm gonna cut it down from the beginning and the end to get to that 1 measure sound. And so now that's what we have. Okay, on its own, not a whole lot. But when we start adding it with some of the other things, I think that can be kind of fun. I think either one of those could work. I'm just gonna take the front half though. I kind of like it. And then just for some variety, I might try and leave this one full. Okay, so here's my 3 sounds. I have 1 that's 2 measures long and 2 that are 1 measure long. Okay, these are now the only 3 sounds that I'm going to use, and I'm going to make an 8 measure melody out of this. I'm going to copy them, I'm going to paste them, but I'm not going to change them anymore. These are the 3 sounds. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 1. And then I'm going to do 2. And what happens if I loop that and I have 2 of those in a row? Now let's see what we have. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. All right, so what if I put this one back? Now, when you copy, one thing that you're going to want to notice is it will paste wherever this cursor is. So if I had it right in the middle of a sound and I said paste, it's going to chop that in half and get rid of it. I don't want that to happen. So, and let's copy this one. And we'll put this one here. But I can't forget about that last sound that I have. So let's see what we got. I think that'll work. It automatically restarts, which makes it kind of hard to tell where it ends. Maybe if I do that. I think that'll work. So there is my first 8 measure melody. I have the one that is 2 measures long. I have 2 of the 3. I have the 1 again that's 2 measures long, and then I have 1, 3, and 1, 2. And so hopefully you are doing that along with me, because this right here is the first half of your project. Okay, so we did this melody together, so everyone will have this melody in their song. What you're going to do now is you're going to redo this whole process, but you're going to do it on your own. So go ahead right now and come over to this plus over here and tap on the plus, and you are going to add a new section. Right now we just have one section, and you're going to go ahead and add another section. And I'm going to change that 9 measures back to 8 because I want really all of them to be 8. So now that you have this B section, the B section is highlighted. So when I tap out of here, it's going to take me to my B section. So you get to go through and you get to find your own related loops, and you get to trim them down to 1 measure or 2 measures, combine them, put them together to make your own 8 measure melody. Keep in mind as you're doing this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It will fill this whole thing. It goes through 16. Notice the numbers happen at the beginning of the measure, not at the end of the measure. Sometimes people stop a measure early, so just make sure that you double check that and count. And you can always slide over and just kind of see what we did over here, and you can always come back and rewatch parts of this video if you need to. Over here, you're finding your related loops. You are putting them, dragging them in, you're trimming them down to 1 measure, 2 measures, and then combining them to make your own 8 measure melody.